How are you guys doing? Today is Saturday, March 27th, 2021, out here in this quarantine. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I plan on doing a GOAT profile for one of the greatest goalkeepers to ever play in the history of the world, in the history of the sport, Manuel Neuer, who is currently the captain, the starting goalie for Bayern Munich, and the captain and starting goalie for the German national team, the team for which he has won the World Cup, and Bayern, the team for which he has won the treble twice as the goalkeeper. And I mean the awards, his numbers, they all kind of speak for themselves. And if you're really unfamiliar with Manuel Neuer, he stands at about 6'4". He's incredibly tall. He's very long. He's very flexible, and he's very fearless. He will charge attackers that are running at him. Sometimes when he will get involved, like with dribbling the ball. He does leave the box sometimes. Is why he's known as a sweeper keeper, because you can see him sweep the ball from one side to the left rather than just being a stationary goalkeeper. All while at the same time just being one of the best one-on-one goalies of all time. And just a footnote, just a little flex. My first game I went out to. The first Bayern Munich game I went to, the only one I went to when I was studying abroad, I got a chance to see him score a penalty kick against Union Berlin. So that was a really good game. That was 2019. But nonetheless, with this profile, I think that with his numbers and his accolades and the awards that he's received, even recently, I think he stands out in a class of his own. Even out of the elite players, he stands elite amongst the elite as one of the greatest talents to ever touch this game. And he's currently the most recent winner of the men's best, or the world's best goalie. So of course, without further ado, I'm just going to get into how Manuel Neuer got to where he was, to where he is now. So of course, getting a start out of Gelsenkirchen, where Schalke is, he would eventually get recruited and play his entire youth career in the Schalke Youth League for about 14 years. And then he would eventually get called up to play for the Schalke second team when he would eventually get moved up for the original Schalke team, starting for the actual Schalke squad in 2006-2007 in his age 20 season. In that season, he would start 27 games in a season where Schalke would end up. They had the second best record in all of the Bundesliga. It's because, of course, Manuel Neuer was the difference. They were fourth the previous season. They would end up as semifinalists also in the DFB in the DFB Pokal. So in the Liga Pokal. Just to give a sense of where Schalke was. At the same time, in those 27 games, Manuel Neuer would allow 21 goals, which of course would start to put him up there around the names of some of the other great players, as he also put up 13 clean sheets in the Bundesliga, even though he didn't even play the full season. So of course, these performances are starting to catch the eyes of some, but he's still continuing to get better. In his second year at Schalke in 2007-2008, he would end up starting. He would start all 34 games in a season where Schalke would end up with the third best record in the Bundesliga. They would end up as finalists in the Liga Pokal right before that trophy got ended. But of course, Manuel Neuer in that season, specifically in the Bundesliga this year, he allowed 32 goals in those 34 games, 12 clean sheets. Not as hot as he was the previous year, but he still allowed less than one goal per 90 minutes. And the fact that he was able to do so, he was still continuing to be recognized as one of the best. And now the rest of the Bundesliga was definitely starting to take notice, because when he was starting, back then he was it seemed as though he would be next in line for the Bayern spot, but in this next year he definitely had to prove it. In 2008-2009, he would start 27 matches for Schalke, and in this season they would end up with the 8th best record that year. Kevin Kriani would be their leading scorer that year, and Manuel Neuer himself would allow 26 goals in the 27 games that he played. He had 11 clean sheets. Up until then, the least amount of clean sheets he's had. The Schalke was still slowly turning around, but it would be the next season where Manuel Neuer proved himself as one of the elite goalies out of all of the goalies in the entire country. So in his fourth year with Schalke, in his age 23 season, He would start all 34 games in a season where Schalke would finish with the second best record. They were finished runners-up in the Bundesliga yet again, as they ended up losing in the semifinal of the Pokal. They were slowly yet surely inching closer to that goal, but in that season, Manuel Neuer would allow 31 goals in those 34 games within the Bundesliga itself. And then he would finish with 4 clean sheets in the Pokal up until the game that they lost, which is insane. And then in the FIFA, he would eventually get called up for the FIFA World Cup following that 2009-2010 season by Jogi Löw. He saw that he was one of the best young players and that he could help represent Bayern. And because Germany's original goalie was something happened, Manuel Neuer would eventually get called up, and then he would take over as starting goalie. And in the 6 games that Germany played, they would end up in 3rd place in South Africa, as I believe Spain ran away with it, but Manuel Neuer was actually recognized as the best goalie in the entire tournament. He had 3 clean sheets in the 6 games that he played. In the other 3 games he played, he only allowed 1 goal. And at the end of the day, it was that 1 goal that eventually knocked Germany out, but they would still win their 3rd place game to, of course, get their medal. But that's what Manuel Neuer was doing, especially after his... I mean, this would be when he was age 24. He was that guy, and the world. He was slowly turning into once he was the German national goalie, and once he had shown that performance at the World Cup, the world had taken notice, and from then he really couldn't look back. He took a little bit of a step back in his last year at Schalke. In 2011, he decided to return to Schalke for 1 more season. He played all 34 games, and Schalke would end up they finished 14th in the table, as Manuel Neuer allowed the most amount of goals that he'd ever allow in a season. He allowed 44 goals in 34 games that season, allowing 1.29 goals per 90 minutes, the first time he'd ever allowed more than a goal per 90 minutes ever in his career. And after that season, he decided he was gonna move to Bayern Munich. But of course, all in that time, he was still able to win. So by the time he had made it to Bayern in 2011, he was already a DFB Pokal winner, and he was already named the best young goalie in the world. He was already named the best goalie in the World Cup, but it was a matter of time before he kind of put it all together. And then following that, his career at Bayern Munich will go down as one of the greatest soccer careers that any player has ever had for any team, So I'm just going to get started with that. Starting with his age 25 season in 2011-2012, starting in the Bundesliga. He would play 33 games in a season where Bayern Munich would actually finish as the runners-up in the Bundesliga. They also finished as runners-up in the Pokal, and they also finished as runners-up in the Champions League in their first season under Manuel Neuer. In the Bundesliga itself, Manuel Neuer would end up, like I said, he'd end up allowing 22 goals over 33 games, and then stretch that out to what he was doing in Pokal. He allowed 6 goals in 5 games, as he had 3 clean sheets as they lost in the championship, and then in Champions League they would end up as the runners-up. This is the year that they lost to Chelsea, to Didier Drogba, I believe. But following that, he would allow 9 goals in 14 games in the Champions League, as he had 7 clean sheets. He was, of course, the best goalie of the tournament, but after missing this, of course, he would put it upon himself to not lose like that. So following that, going into the 2012-2013 season, in Manuel Neuer's second season with Bayern Munich, in his age 26 season in the Bundesliga itself, he would start 31 games, he would allow 18 goals, and he would finish with 18 clean sheets, which up until then was the most amount of clean sheets that he's ever recorded in a season. And there are 34 games in a season, so over half of his games were clean sheets. The second time in his career he had done that. And within the Bundesliga season, Bayern Munich would, of course, finish up top. And then jumping to the Pokal, within the Pokal that season, Manuel would end up Manuel would allow only 3 goals in the 5 games that he played, as he had 3 clean sheets as Bayern won the Pokal. And then in Champions League, they would end up only allowing 9. He would end up conceding 9 goals in 13 matches played with 5 clean sheets, as Bayern Munich went all the way to the end, and they went on to beat Borussia Dortmund as they won the treble. Not many teams have won the treble, but of course Bayern Munich was able to do it. That was the first time they were able to do it as a club. And then this would transition into Manuel Neuer's second season. So of course he was the goalkeeper responsible for holding it down for Bayern during a treble season. So this was the start of the ascent. In his third season with Bayern Munich in 2013-14, he would start 31 games and allow 18 goals again for the second year in a row. And once again, Bayern Munich would win Champions League, jumping to the Pokal. He would only allow 1 goal in the 5 games that he played, which is insane. He had 4 clean sheets, as Bayern Munich would yet again win the Pokal. And they would lose this year in the Champions League semifinals as they tried to go for a back-to-back treble. But of course, they were unable to do it. But of course, following Champions League, but even in Champions League, he allowed 12 goals in 12 matches. Making it almost at the very end, but they came up pretty short. This might have been the year that Ronaldo beat them, but that's when the start of that ascent. And then after that, he was the starting goalie for the German national team in 2014. And in the 2014 run, they would eventually go on and win the World Cup. They would beat Brazil pretty comfortably 7-1 in the semifinals before a goal from, I believe, Mario Götze would end up beating Argentina in the finals. That's when Messi had his chance. Manuel Neuer, of course, with this win, was given the Golden Glove for being the best goalie in the entire tournament. The last time he was just placed on the All-Star team. This year he was the best goalie in the entire tournament, as of course Joachim Löw was named the best manager. Muller was named one of the best forwards, Kroos one of the best midfielders, and Hummels one of the best defenders, to give a sense of how great this Germany team was. They also had Philipp Lahm as the captain, but Manuel Neuer in goal was pretty sensational. He allowed 2 goals in 7 matches played. He had 4 clean sheets as well. I don't know how that math works out, but incredible games all around from Manuel. And once he had won the Champions League and the FIFA World Cup in back-to-back seasons, he already became a German legend. And by then, he was the best goalie in the game, and there was nobody that was even really close to touching him. There were a lot of, because he was in between, I want to say Iker Casillas, and he also has players in Germany like Ter Stegen that are coming up on him, not to mention David De Gea, and Jan Oblak. But right now, with Manuel Neuer holding the World Cup title and the Champions League title in subsequent summers, at that point, that was when he was inflicting his dominance over the rest of soccer. So that would transition into his 2014-15 season, which would be his age 28 season. He would play 32 games and start 31. And he would allow 18 goals yet again, as he finished with 20 clean sheets for the first time ever in his career. And then in 2014-15, specifically within the Bundesliga, Bayern would win the league for the 3rd year in a row. Within the Pokal, they would end up losing in the semifinals. But of course, this season, Manuel would end up allowing... He allowed 3 goals in the 5 matches that he played, had 2 clean sheets, but at the end of the day, Bayern would not be able to get past them. And then in the Champions League, they would make it to the semifinals, where they would lose. But of course, this is the season where Robert Lewandowski and Arjen Robben tied for the top of the team in scoring. But of course, one more trophy added to the trophy case for Manuel Neuer. Following this season, this would transition into his 2015-16 season, where he, for the 2nd year in a row, he put up 20 clean sheets in 34 games in the Bundesliga, allowing 16 goals, the least amount of goals up until this point he's ever allowed in a 34-game season, which is nothing short of spectacular for how Bayern Munich has been playing, as they went on, of course, to win the Bundesliga, this time for the 4th year in a row. And then once they made it to the Pokal, he would end up with He had 4 clean sheets in the 5 matches that he played, as Bayern Munich would end up winning the Pokal for the third time in the previous 4 years, with Manuel Neuer as the goalie, and they would end up losing in the Champions League semifinals for the third year in a row after winning, as Lewandowski for the first time led the team in scoring. To give a sense of where Bayern was in the Bundesliga then. And following this, they would go to the European Championships, where I don't think Germany performed as well. But then in the championship, Neuer would allow 3 goals in 6 matches played, as he had 4 clean sheets in the entire tournament, as Germany did not win. But rather, I believe it was Portugal that won that year. But following Manuel Neuer's best Bundesliga season to date in terms of clean sheets, this would transition into his age 30 season with Bayern Munich. He played 26 games, and this was when he started to suffer. He started to suffer a bit of an injury spell. In those 26 games, he would still allow 13. He would still allow only 13 goals. This is the second lowest goals allowed per 90 he's ever had. It was 0.50. The previous year was 0.48, as he had as he would go on to have 14 clean sheets in the 26 games that he played, which is this would go on to be I believe the 5th time in his career that he's had a clean sheet percentage of over 50%, which is completely insane considering all that he's done this season. And in 2016-17, in the Pokal, he would only allow 1 goal in the 4 matches that they played in the Pokal, as they ended up losing in the semifinals. And then they would end up losing in the Champions League quarterfinals, as he ended up allowing 8 goals in 9 matches played, giving 2 clean sheets. And his season did end with a left foot fracture, and this injury would kind of carry on for the next 2 seasons. This would be his first season as captain as Bayern Munich, by the way. He's been captain for the last half decade. For the first season, he did play 26 games, and he did happen to get injured before the end of the season could come. The next season, in 2017-2018, he only played 3 matches, allowing 2 goals, and in 3 of those games, he was able to get 2 clean sheets as well. In his second year as the Bayern captain. In year 3 as the Bayern captain, and his slow return back to the game in 2018-19, he would start 26 games for Bayern Munich in a season where they would go on to win the Bundesliga for what would now be the 7th year in a row. And within the Bundesliga, in those 26 games, Manuel Neuer allowed 23 goals, as he was also able to put up 10 clean sheets. Of course, keeping together his double-digit clean sheet streaks out of the seasons that he's actually played the full season, or at least more than 3 games. And at the same time, looking out to how he fared in the other tournaments. In the Pokal, he would only allow 1 goal in the 3 matches that he played, as Bayern would end up winning the DFB Pokal, as he was slowly eased back into that lineup. And of course, at the same time, Bayern did make it far in Champions League. They only played 8. Neuer played 8 matches, allowed 7 goals in a season where they would finish in the round of 16 when they lost to Liverpool, I believe, right when Liverpool won. And with that said, that leads into Manuel Neuer's most recent complete season, a season that I actually got a chance to see in his age 33 season, which would be his 4th season as captain of Bayern Munich. He would start 33 games in a season where, of course, Bayern Munich would win the Bundesliga for what was a Bundesliga record 8th time in a row. That has never happened in the history of the Bundesliga. And all 8 of the titles have been won since Manuel Neuer got there. His first year was the last year that Bayern has not won the Bundesliga, for context. And then looking at how he fared within the Bundesliga itself this year, he started all 33 games. The first time he played a full season since 2016. The season before he was named a starter. He would allow 31 goals in those 33 games. The first time he allowed 30 goals in a 30-game season, but he still had a goals allowed per 90 under 1. So, of course, he's doing incredibly well on that aspect. And he was able to finish with 15 clean sheets as well. In the Pokal, he would end up with 5 goals conceded in 6 matches, only 1 clean sheet. 2019-20, they still would end up winning the Pokal, as they would win the Pokal for the second year in a row. And with Neuer, this will be the 5th time that he's won it with Bayern, the 6th time that he had actually won the tournament in total. And then looking out to how Bayern Munich fared in Champions League, especially Manuel Neuer. In Champions League, he allowed only 8 goals in 11 matches, and he had 6 clean sheets as Bayern Munich went all the way to defeat PSG in the finals to win their 2nd treble as a club. They're the only club in soccer history that has ever won a treble being that they've won their domestic league, their domestic cup, and their continental cup. In this case, the Bundesliga, the Pokal, and the Champions League. Neuer is the only goalie that has ever done it twice, and this time he's done it as captain. And I don't know, Bayern Munich is still running off that momentum today, and it's very possible that he could win more than 2 Champions Leagues. So following that season, Manuel Neuer, and of course this was a season that was cut short in the middle. They had to delay the end due to the spread of the COVID virus. But still, by the end of the season, after Champions League, after Bayern Munich won, Manuel Neuer was named the men's best goalie of the year yet again at age 34. And of course, all this would transition into where Manuel Neuer is currently sitting now. As of right now, in the 2020-2021 season, which is his 15th season in the Bundesliga and would now be his 10th season with Bayern Munich, I believe, or his 11th. I'm trying to think of the math here. It would be his 11th season with Bayern Munich. He's played 26 games for Bayern Munich in a season where they are sitting at the top of the Bundesliga, but barely. Sitting right now in the Bundesliga, they are sitting 4 points ahead of second place RB Leipzig at the moment, as they have 4 games left, as they are on their way. They are on pace to win their 9th straight Bundesliga title. Right now, they are out of contention for the DFB Pokal really quickly, but being within the Bundesliga, his next Bundesliga game will be on April 3rd as Bayern faces off against Lazio. And then looking at how they're faring in Champions League, right now Bayern Munich has qualified for the quarterfinals of Champions League, and for the first leg on April 7th, they will face off against Paris Saint-Germain, as PSG was the team that Bayern did beat in the Champions League last year. So, of course, they will get 2 legs to go at Manuel Neuer to get a chance to see what Manuel Neuer is going to do against this team. But as of right now, he's arguably the best goalie right now. I would say he's the best goalie right now on what looks like the most dominant team in Europe. And I don't think Manuel Neuer's dominance is going to stop anytime soon. But with that said, once we come right back around to March 27, 2022, hopefully I'll have a whole new profile to you once again. But I want to wish a happy 35th birthday to Manuel Neuer, one of the greatest goalies to ever play the game. Once again, today is Saturday, March 27, 2021. I'm James Sims. This is The Elite. I want to thank everyone for listening to all 23 minutes of this piece. I hope all is well, and I want to thank you for being a part of the journey. Thanks for listening to this piece. I hope all is well, and peace out. Hope I'll catch you with more pieces after this.